The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Welcome back to Ribble Valley again, everybody, for episode number 2 for you, but this is actually number 1 for me. I filmed these two slightly out of order because of the way the sort of geography of the land is. Today we are in another very small village, and behind me there you can see our first landmark. Believe it or not, that lane leads to it. I can't go down there though because that's a private road. It runs all the way to the River Ribble, which is in the distance. Down there there's a riding stables, but there's also something else which is very historically important. We'll learn what it is as we take a trip around the parish of Osbaldeston. Osbaldeston, Osbald's farm. Next up in this run of Ribble Valley parishes we have Osbaldeston, the second of 2 small villages that sit to the north of the A59 and the south of the Ribble between Preston and Blackburn. Primarily, Osbaldeston sits on the A59 3¼ miles northwest of Blackburn and 7 miles east of Preston. The parish also includes the hamlet of Osbaldeston Green, which lies a bit further north via a dead-end road leading towards the river. The Osbaldestons were lords of the manor here from the 11th century onwards. The last members of the family to hold the estate were the Catholic martyr Edward Osbaldeston and his son Alexander. On the banks of the Ribble is perhaps the most important building in the parish. That would be Osbaldeston Hall, a Grade 2 listed cruck frame building dating from about 1600. Another important structure here is Oxendale Hall, dating from 1656. There's no Anglican place of worship in Osbaldeston. Rather, it can only possess a Roman Catholic church dedicated to St Mary, located along the A59 Longsight Road. Elsewhere in the village there's a car dealership at the main crossroads, a small school also with connections to the church, and a pub called the Bay Horse. Osbaldeston Green also has a riding stables, but other than that, this one doesn't possess much more. That doesn't mean it's going to be one of those boring villages in the middle of nowhere though. I don't think I've ever done one of them. Come with me to explore this tiny place and learn a bit more about life in the Ribble Valley. We start in the hamlet of Osbaldeston Green, a ways north of the main village which is on the A59. Osbaldeston Green has 2 things of note. Firstly, there's a livery and riding stables, and quite a substantial one at that. Osbaldeston Riding Centre has been a family-run business since 1986. It used to be a show centre, but that function ceased recently. Even so, it still thrives today, providing well-maintained training facilities for individuals and/or groups. It has a 60-metre by 30-metre show jumping arena and a second arena available for flat work hire. The other landmark is the mightily impressive Osbaldeston Hall. Now, somewhat annoyingly, you can get to the hall, but only on foot. The road alongside the stables, which leads to it, is private, although you can walk up there thanks to it also being a public footpath. It's quite a walk though, and we don't really have time for it. No fear though, I found some great pictures which I can show you now as we drive south towards Osbaldeston itself. The hall dates back to before the time when William the Conqueror arrived in England, although there's no way of knowing exactly when. In any event, the current building is far newer, having been built in 1593. It was constructed by John Osbaldeston. The original hall may have been built by an Angle who came down the Ribble from Northumbria. That would probably make a bit of sense. In those times, travelling upon the country's waterways would have been the main way to get around, and the fact that Osbaldeston Hall is literally on the riverbank would give that theory a bit of credence. The current hall is a Grade 2 listed building. In the mid-1980s, it was sold off and left neglected for a while until it was bought and restored by the Walmsleys in 1991. It has a slate roof, and some of the interior features include a crook frame and a post and truss frame. Most of the house is faced in snecked sandstone rubble dating from an earlier restoration in 1946. Its eastern and southern walls were originally part of a banqueting hall, and they're made of brick. There can be no denying the most notable person ever to have lived at the hall, the Catholic martyr Edward Osbaldeston. He was born at the hall in around 1560 and met his end after being hanged, drawn and quartered at York in 1594. He was the son of Thomas Osbaldeston and went to the English College of Douai at Reims, where he became a deacon in 1583 and then a priest in 1585. He'd said his first mass on the feast day of St. Jerome and consequently had a great devotion to that saint. He was sent on the English mission on the 27th of April 1589 and was apprehended by an Anglican priest named Thomas Clark at an inn at Tollerton near York. The day following his arrest, he was taken to York itself, where he was tried and convicted of high treason for being a priest. He wasn't alone in suffering that fate in those times. In 1987, he was one of a total of 85 Catholic martyrs across England and Wales beatified by Pope John Paul II. By beatifying someone, the Church proclaims that the person in question is definitely in heaven and definitely able to plead to God on your behalf if you pray to him. Okay, so here we are then in Osbaldeston village itself. Now there's not a lot to this, I'm afraid, people. It's another very, very small place. Basically the road from Osbaldeston Green continues and bends its way round towards the A59. We're going to follow that road to where it meets a pub, and there's a car dealership and a school and a church as well. And then we're basically going to come back via a footpath that links this road to the A59 and forms a nice little circle. Let's go. Now we're in Osbaldeston village, and for the most part this is a linear settlement stretching along the road south from Osbaldeston Green to the A59. The vast majority of it is residential, and all the good bits are on a crossroads where this lane meets the A59 Longsight Road. To the west there's also Commons Lane and Higher Commons Lane, which you may recall run westwards to join Osbaldeston to Balderston. Those two are residential for the most part. Now at the crossroads, the first port of call is the Bay Horse. This is a Thwaites pub and has been for several years now, run by a local family from Mellor. It's a cosy and friendly establishment which prides itself on serving quality homemade food, which they do from Wednesday to Sunday every week. It also boasts a fantastic beer garden and a traditional tap room with a full-size snooker table. I like it. So on one side of the road you've got the Bay Horse pub, on the other side of the road you've got Bay Horse Garage, which is this right here, and that's next. On the other side of the crossroads is a car dealership, the Ribble Valley branch of the Bowker Motor Group. It occupies something called Bay Horse Garage, which takes its name of course from the pub. Bowker is a prominent name in Lancashire. The group were founded in Blackburn in 1919 as WH Bowker Limited, with the sole aim of providing road transport services. Today, the Bowker Motor Group represent well-known car brands like BMW, Mini, Porsche and Harley Davidson. In 2012, the Ribble Valley branch was opened. The Bay Horse Garage site specialises in retailing pre-owned prestige, performance and sports cars and delivers them throughout the UK. There's also a full after-sales facility here with factory-trained ATA technicians offering car servicing and repair to all makes and models of cars from Ford to Ferrari. Osbaldeston has no Anglican place of worship, a little unusual for the modern village perhaps, but let's not forget here in Lancashire, other religious sects were very popular. That's perhaps why there's a Catholic community instead, and there are two buildings here side by side which are related to it. First up we have St Mary's Roman Catholic Primary School. This was built in 1845 by the Reverend Thomas Irving on the site of a Roman Catholic mission that was established in around 1834. Irving was the mission priest from 1837 until 1856. Its construction complemented the Chapel of St Mary next door. And the school is not alone when it comes to Roman Catholic buildings here in this village, because right next door is the church, and this is quite an impressive building actually. Don't know whether you can see it in this shot. No, you can't, not quite. Hold on, let me just turn the camera around a little bit. There it is. That is the Roman Catholic Church of St Mary. St Mary's is a church built in a well-detailed perpendicular Gothic style typical of the 1830s. It also has an attached Tudor-style presbytery. The church is set within a large burial ground, and the presbytery and adjacent school form part of a good group of historic stone buildings. Osbaldeston's Catholic mission was established as an offshoot of Samlesbury, and originally a farmhouse served as both its school and chapel. In 1836, Captain William Heatley of Brindle Lodge near Preston gave a piece of land for the building of a church and presbytery and donated 49 acres of farmland as an endowment. The result was this. The identity of its architect is not known, but clearly this is the work of somebody well versed in the language of late Gothic architecture. The church is said to be built of millstone grit from the Butler's Delft quarry near Blackburn. According to the historical notes in the church, Thomas Irving embellished the sanctuary with a reredos by Professor Frederick Bath. Bath was a Catholic convert who from the mid-1850s ran an ecclesiastical decorating business at Duke Street in Liverpool. He later became a professor of chemistry and is remembered for inventing a method for rust-proofing cast iron. Its western gallery is a slightly later addition. It contains an organ which is said to have been built in 1824 for the Anglican Parish Church of St Mary in Blackburn, which was later replaced by the building which is now the cathedral. Okay, to get back to the start, we have to use this footpath here, which connects the A59 with the road on which we started. I've got to cross this stile here. I absolutely hate stiles. Gates are much more preferable, but hey, this is the countryside and stiles exist. I'll see you at the other end of this. Let me tell you folks, that wasn't the easiest path ever to walk on. The beginning of it is like a little ravine. It goes down and then back up again. Very muddy, very slippery, difficult to get down. And as such, I've actually given myself a little injury. My fingernail, a little, I don't know, like a thorn or a spike or something off a tree which has lodged itself under there. So hopefully that's not going to hurt me too much for the rest of the day. It really does hurt, I'll be honest. It's dangerous doing this, you know. With two small ones down in the Ribble Valley, I think it's about time we made for a much bigger one. One with a lot more meat on its bones. Luckily, tomorrow I have just the village that will fit that bill. Let's hop across the A59 to the south and take on a place we already know a little bit about. It's time to fill in the rest. See you there, folks. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.